Thanks for tuning in today. Today, I want to address an issue that was put to my mind due to a number of successive events. You see, when people get married, one of the things they desire or expect is to have children. Maybe not everybody, but the majority of the people that I know, they desire to have children. However, the path to parenthood is not always easy for everyone. Sometimes people's expectations about getting pregnant and having children may not happen as quickly as they expect it to be, or may not even happen at all for one reason or the other, because problems can arise that limit the opportunity for a person to have, or for a couple to get pregnant, so which they never envisaged. About 4 events that happened one after the other made me to talk about this issue of surrogacy. The first one was an event I attended online. It was my friend, a medical doctor, who hosted this series on fertility, and one of it had to do with surrogacy. At that program, there was a lady there who said something about the fact that she's happy to act as a surrogate for a family member, or a friend, a loved one who is having difficulty getting pregnant or having children. I was quite impressed. I thought to myself, can I do this for anybody? And so that was the first time the subject of surrogacy came into my consciousness. Not quite long after that, I was having a conversation with some women. They were not Africans, and one of them casually mentioned that she had a child through surrogacy. I was quite surprised, but what was most surprising for me was the way she said it, and every other person there didn't feel like it was anything to be ashamed of. It was just a regular conversation, and we went with the flows. The third event was, I stumbled on a video on Instagram where a woman, a Nigerian woman living in Lagos, was talking about her surrogacy experience during the proposal of a bill by the Lagos state government that had to do with assisted reproduction and stuff like that. And she was addressing specific issues in that bill that she felt were not helpful for people who were struggling with getting pregnant or having children. And she felt that bill need to be looked at again. On that day, she actually talked about her experience and how she lost her womb to a poorly performed surgery for fibroids, and how she had to wait for 13 years. She had eggs, but she couldn't carry a pregnancy. Eventually, she had to go to India, and was there she found a surrogate. She lived in India for 2 years, but they used that egg for the surrogacy, so the twin children look like her. She even wrote a book, Mom at Last, that she shares and talks freely about. I think one of the things she does is to guide people, provide counseling, and support them with assisted reproduction, such as surrogacy and stuff like that. That really blew my mind. Finally, the movie The Wait, currently streaming on Netflix. It's a Nigerian movie that showcases the travails of couples and the challenges that they face, especially women who are having fertility issues. I would strongly recommend that you watch that film, and because I found it quite informative. So these events culminated in my decision to do a video on surrogacy, because I feel that it's an idea whose time has come, and let us examine the benefits, the risks, and everything, so that people can then make their own informed decision about whether it's an option for them to pursue or not. So what is surrogacy? Surrogacy is an arrangement, typically legal, in which one person, a woman, agrees to carry a pregnancy and deliver a child for another woman or a couple. So that's basically what surrogacy is about. What are the types of surrogacy? There's traditional surrogacy and gestational surrogacy. In traditional surrogacy, the surrogate uses her own eggs, and then there's a donor sperm, or the sperm from the intending father is used through the process of intrauterine insemination to achieve pregnancy, and then a baby comes and goes on with the pregnancy journey. In gestational surrogacy, the egg of the intended mother is what is used, and then the egg or the sperm of the intended father, or a donor sperm, is then used through the process of in vitro fertilization, and then embryo will now be transferred into the womb of the surrogate. So basically, these are the two types of surrogacy. And I need to quickly add that surrogacy is not necessarily a new thing. Traditional surrogacy, for example, was practiced in Bible times. We remember Abraham and Sarah, and also Jacob and Rachel, in which Rachel couldn't have a child and then asked that Jacob should sleep with one of her maids. The same for Abraham and Sarah, when Sarah couldn't have a child and asked that Abraham sleep with her maid. So I needed to just mention that so that we'll know that this is not modern age stuff. It is just the way it is now done that is slightly different from how it was done previously. So what are the requirements in for somebody to be a surrogate? Preferably a young person, a young woman who has successfully carried a pregnancy before. There are other preferences the individual who wants to use a surrogate might look for, such as race, personality traits, and specific personal preferences that the intending parents desire. What are the things that guarantee the success of a surrogacy arrangement? Like I said earlier, the woman should have successfully carried a pregnancy before. The quality of the eggs being used is important. The quality of the sperm being used is also important. The age of the person donating the egg is also important. These factors are necessary to ensure the success of a surrogacy arrangement. What are the risks associated with surrogacy? There are quite a number of risks. Prior to getting pregnant, the person that would donate the eggs would need some treatment to facilitate egg production. And then the issue of pregnancy for the surrogate. Every pregnancy comes with certain risks. There are physical health, mental health issues that can arise during pregnancy, at delivery, and even post-pregnancy, post-delivery. So these are some of the things that people need to bear in mind if they are opting to act as a surrogate. Also, surrogacy arrangement takes, from the time of when the pregnancy has been established, takes at least like a whole year, and that's a long time in a person's life. Sometimes they may have to stop working or going to school depending on how the pregnancy is progressing and if there were associated complications. The other thing that can arise is the fact that the surrogate could have been in a relationship, either married or in a committed relationship. You need to think about how that surrogacy arrangement would impact on those relationships. And then there can be relationship challenges between the surrogate and the intending parents. So these are some of the things that people really want to consider seriously before they go into any form of surrogacy arrangement. There have also been stories about when a baby is then born, the surrogate may refuse to give up the baby, but this can be taken care of through prior legal arrangements that have been clearly defined and sorted. Another one that has happened in the past historically is the fact that a person or the intending parents then refuse to accept the baby. But all of this can be taken care of through proper legal documentation and agreements. So what are the benefits of surrogacy? Surrogacy affords a couple who would not have been able to have their own child to have their own child. It also affords them the opportunity to be involved with the life of that child from the start. Another thing is that it also reduces the risk, especially when they are using donor eggs and donor sperm, for example. It reduces the risk of transmitting genetic problems, genetic abnormalities through careful selections from the intending parents if they have such abnormalities. Some of the reasons why people would opt for surrogacy include the fact that the woman may have an absent womb, a damaged or malformed womb. The woman may have suffered multiple pregnancy losses. They may have suffered multiple losses or failed IVFs. They may also have a genetic defect or a health condition that can be transmissible. And if they don't want that to happen, then surrogacy is a good option. The woman may also have physical health problems that make carrying a pregnancy risky for them. So these are some of the reasons why people opt for surrogacy. In all, I think that for if surrogacy is an option a person wants to explore, they need to weigh the risks versus the benefit for them. They need to be sure that they have the support of their partner. They need to be sure about who they are choosing as their surrogate, the kind of relationship they want to have with the person, the frequency of contact. They also need to think critically about how they're going to tell their child or children about the surrogacy arrangement that led to their birth, and many more. If you need to read more about surrogacy, there are useful resources online that you can access. If you want to find about surrogacy agencies, there are also useful resources online that you can access. You just type it in and check whatever information you think you might need that that I may not have touched on. The whole purpose of this video is to bring the idea of surrogacy into our consciousness, and if people think it is something they want to explore, then they can begin to look into it. Until I come your way next time, don't stop thriving, and please subscribe to the channel, share your views by leaving a comment or two, and turn on the notifications so you can know when the next video drops. Bye bye.